Okay, guys, so this lecture is about the age determination using a Panorex or orthopentomograph radiograph with the help of Nolla's stages of tooth development. Utilization of the panoramic X-rays or utilization of the orthopentomograph X-rays in age estimation. Dental panoramic X-ray images are valuable for determining a child's or an adolescent's age because tooth development follows a lengthy and sequential process. It is one of the longest processes in the human body. Hence, panoramic dental radiographs, they can be utilized to estimate a person's age. Tooth development exhibits minimal variability in relation to the chronological age, making it a reliable indicator for assessing maturity and predicting a person's age. So that is why dental tissues in the developmental stages are highly effective for age estimation and radiography. It plays a crucial role in viewing these stages of development and predicting age in the human beings. Well, various methods of determining age using the radiographs, they were employed by various researchers and authors. 5 common methods to determine age using radiographs are Glaser and Hunt, then Dimitrian et al. And Gustafson and Koch, Harris and Northich, then Kuhlman and et al. And Nolla's methods. Well, in one of these studies, Nolla's method of age determination was found to be accurate in both the male and female population. No statistical significance was found between the chronological age and estimated age for males and females. Hence, according to the study, Nolla's method can also be used in the forensic dentistry. So these are the Nolla's stages of tooth development. 0 means there is absence of crypt. Then 1 is presence of crypt. 2 is initial calcification begins. Then 3 is stage 3, 1/3 crown is completed. Stage 4 is 2/3 crown is completed. Stage 5 is crown is almost complete. Then stage 6, crown completed. 7, 1/3 root is completed. 8, 2/3 root is completed. And 9, root is almost completed. Stage 10 is when root is completed and apex, it is closed, mature tooth. Well, this is the eruption sequence of the deciduous teeth. The upper teeth and the lower teeth, central incisor, lower, these are the first teeth to erupt. And it is from 6 to 10 months after birth. Then comes the upper centrals, and it is almost 8 to 12 months after birth. Then comes the lower laterals. They are 10 to 16 months after birth, and upper lateral incisors, they are between 9 to 13 months. So upper laterals, they may erupt before the lower lateral. And then comes the mandibular first molars, 14 to 18 months. And the maxillary first molars, 13 to 19 months. Then the canines, mandibular canine, cuspid, 17 to 23 months for the mandibular canine, and upper canine, they may erupt before the lower canine, so 16 to 22 months. Then the lower second molar, that is 23rd to 31st month after birth, and second molar is maxillary, it is 25th to 33rd month. If we look at the chronology of the deciduous teeth, so maxillary teeth and mandibular teeth, maxillary central incisors, the first evidence of calcification, weeks in utero, 14th week. and that is the average, but the range is 13th to 16th week. The crown completion in months after the birth, it is 1.5 months. And eruption month is 10th month, but there is a range of 8 to 12 months. And root completion in years, it is 1.5 years. Lateral incisors, maxillary, the first evidence of calcification weeks in utero, it is 16 weeks, and the range is 14 to 17 weeks. This is the average 16. Crown completion month says almost 2.5 months after the birth. And 11 months is the eruption time. Anywhere between 9 to 13 is the range. Root completion in when the child is 2 years old. Canine, maxillary. First evidence of calcification is 17 months, 17 weeks in utero, and range is 15 to 18 weeks. Crown completion is 9 months after the birth, and eruption month is 19th month, but the range is 16 to 22, and root completes when the child is 3.25 years old. Maxillary first molar, the first evidence of calcification is 15 weeks in utero, and range is 14 to 17 weeks. Crown completion when the child is 6 months old, then eruption month is 16 months after the birth, but the range is 13 to 19. And root completion is 2.5 years. Second molar, first evidence of calcification weeks in utero, it is 19 weeks, and the range is 16 to 24 weeks in utero. Crown completion in months says 11 months, and on the 29th month at an average, it erupts, but the range is 25th to 33rd month, and root completion is at 3 years. When we look at the mandibular teeth, central incisor, it is having the first evidence of calcification almost the same as of the upper incisor, central incisor, 14 weeks, and the range is 13 to 16 weeks in utero. Crown completion in 2.5 months, and eruption month is 8 months at an average, but the range is 6 to 10 months. The root completion is in 1.5 years. Central incisor, we have discussed the lateral incisor now, mandibular, 16 weeks, same as of the maxillary one. And the range is 14 to 17, again the same. The crown completion is in 2.5 months. Eruption time is 13th month, anywhere between 10 to 16, but 13 is the average. And root completion is in 1.5 years. Mandibular canine, 17th week, we see the first evidence of calcification in utero, and the range is 16 to 18. Well, crown completion after 9 months of birth, and tooth, it erupts after 20 months at an average of birth, but the range is 17 to 23. 3 years and a quarter when the root is completed after birth. First molar, 15 weeks is the first sign or first evidence of calcification in utero. The range is 14 weeks to 17 weeks, and the crown completion after birth, 5.5 months. Well, it erupts after 16 months of birth, but the range is 14 to 18, and the root completes after 2.25 years. Second molar mandibular, 18 weeks is the time when we get the first evidence of calcification in utero, and the range is 17 to 19. Crown completion in months, 10 months after birth, and it erupts after 27 months of birth. The range is 23 months to 31st month, and root completion is after 3 years. Here we can see the chronology of the permanent teeth. Well, The jaw, maxillary, and mandibular. And then we can see the teeth. Central incisor, the calcification begins after 3 to 4 months of the birth. Crown completed is 4 to 5 years. Time of emergence is 7 to 8 years. Root completed 10 years, and emergence sequence is, it is the fourth tooth which comes out in the oral cavity. I will discuss actually the emergence of the sequence of emergence later. We will just confine ourselves up to this level. So lateral incisor maxillary, the calcification begins after 10 to 12 months of the birth, and crown completed 4 to 5 years. Time of emergence is 8 to 10 years. Root is completed 10 to 11 years. Maxillary canine, the calcification starts at 4 to 5 months, and crown is completed at 6 to 7 years. Time of emergence is 11 to 13 years. Root is completed at 14 to 15 years. First premolar maxillary. Well, the calcification starts at 1 to 2 years after the birth, and crown is completed after 6 to 7 years of birth, and time of emergence is 10 to 12 years. Root completed 12 to 14 years. Second premolar maxillary, 2 to 3 years after the birth, the calcification starts, and crown is completed after 7 to 8 years. Time of emergence is 10 to 12 years. Root is completed at 13 to 14 years. First molar maxillary, the calcification starts at birth, and crown is completed within like 4 to 5 years of birth. Time of emergence is 6 to 7 years. It is the second tooth which emerges, and root is completed within 9 to 10 years after birth. Second maxillary molar, its calcification starts at 2 to 3 years. Crown is completed at 7 to 8 years. Time of emergence is 11 to 13 years, and root is completed at 15 to 16 years. Third maxillary molar, if it is present, then initial calcification starts at 7 to 9 years, and crown completed at 12 to 16 years. The time of emergence is somewhere between 17 to 20 years, and root is completed at 18 to 25 years. Mandibular central incisor, the calcification starts at 3 to 4 months. Crown is completed at 3 to 4 years. Time of emergence is 6 to 7 years. Root completed at 9 years. Lateral incisor mandibular, the initial calcification starts at 3 to 4 months the same time, and the crown is completed at 4 to 5 years. Time of emergence is 7 to 8 years. Root completed is 9 to 10 years. Mandibular canine, the initial calcification starts at 4 to 5 months, and crown is completed at 5 to 6 years. Time of emergence is 8 to 10 years. Root is completed at 12 to 13 years. Well, mandibular first premolar, its initial calcification starts at 1 to 2 years after the birth, and the crown is completed at 6 to 7 years of the age. Then the time of emergence is 10 to 12 years of age, and root is completed when that person is 12 to 14 years old. Second premolar, the initial calcification starts at the 2 to 3 years after the birth, and crown is completed when the person is 7 years old. Time of emergence is 11 to 13 years. Root is completed at 14 to 15 years. First permanent molar mandibular, the calcification starts at birth, the same time when the maxillary first molar calcification starts, and the crown is completed at 3 to 4 years. Time of emergence is 6 to 7 years. Root is completed at 9 to 10 years. Mandibular second molar, the initial calcification starts after the birth 2 to 3 years, and crown is completed when the child is 7 to 8 years old. Time of emergence is 11 to 13 years, and root is completed at 14 to 15 years. Mandibular third molar, the last tooth which erupts in mandibular arch, the initial calcification starts at 8 to 10 years. And crown is completed at 12 to 16 years. Time of emergence is 17 to 20 years. Root is completed 18 to 25 years. Mandibular first molar is supposed to be, if there is no any other variation, the first tooth to erupt, the permanent one. But there could be a variation. The central incisors mandibular, they could also erupt before the first molar. But upper and lower first molars, almost they appear simultaneously. Then the mandibular incisor central, then the maxillary central incisors, mandibular lateral incisor, then the maxillary lateral incisor, then comes the mandibular canine, etc., etc. So here you can see all the sequence. Dental age determination. Different stages of eruption of teeth are used to determine the dental age. It is determined from three characteristics. From the teeth that have erupted, from the amount of resorption of the roots of primary teeth, and from the amount of development of permanent teeth. Well, at age 6, which we call the early mixed dentition, the most common sequence of eruption for permanent teeth is mandibular first permanent molars, they erupt the first. Then they are followed by the maxillary permanent molars, and then closely followed by the mandibular central incisors. Dental age 6 is characterized by the near simultaneous eruption of these three teeth, permanent teeth. So at age 6, we can see almost this situation when the first permanent molars, they would have been erupted in both the arches, and lower central permanent, they have replaced the lower deciduous central incisor. If not, then at least they would have been erupted lingual to those. Well, at times what they do in one of the, like in the OSCE exams, or even in the exams where they give you the pictures, they can ask you by showing a child's x-ray at this age or at age 7, that how many permanent teeth you can see on this x-ray. Though they are not erupted, and if the second premolars are not missing, if the lateral incisors are not missing, we can count 28 permanent teeth which are visible on this x-ray. So remember that as well. Dental age 7, the maxillary, centrals, and mandibular lateral incisors, they erupt at this stage. Root formation of maxillary lateral incisors is well advanced, but there is almost 1 year for their eruption. Canines and premolars will be in the stages of crown completion or beginning of the root formation. At the dental age 8, it is characterized by the eruption of maxillary lateral incisors. After eruption of these teeth, there is a delay of 2 to 3 years before any other permanent tooth is going to erupt. Dental age 9. At this age, no teeth erupt. Primary canines, first molars, and second molars are still present in mandible. 1/3 of the roots of each mandibular canine and mandibular first premolar is completed. Root development of second premolar is beginning. In maxilla, root development already started on the first premolar and is starting on the canine and second premolar. Upper and lower second molar root will start developing. Dental age at 10, late mixed dentition. There will be further resorption of the roots of primary canines and molars. Half of the root of each of the mandibular permanent canines and first premolar will be completed. Half of the root of maxillary first premolar will be completed. There will be significant root development of mandibular second premolars, maxillary canines, and maxillary second premolars. There is completion of the roots of all mandibular incisors and near completion of roots of maxillary lateral incisors. Upper and lower molars root they will be almost half developed like this. We can see that. Dental age 11. At this age, roots of all of the permanent incisors and first molars will be complete. This age is characterized by the eruption of mandibular canines, mandibular first premolars, maxillary first premolars. We can see the roots are of the first permanent molars, they are almost complete, and even the mandibular incisors, their roots are complete. We can see the central incisor, their root is almost complete. Laterals, they are almost there. They are also complete. At this age, the only remaining primary teeth will be maxillary canines and second molars, as well as the mandibular second molars. Dental age 12. The remaining subcutaneous teeth, they erupt. Second permanent molars are coming closer to eruption. Third molars development could be visible at this stage. Dental ages 13, 14, and 15. These ages are characterized by the extent of root completion of the permanent teeth. By dental age 15, if a third molar is going to develop, it should be apparent on the radiograph. Variations in the eruption. Eruption of second molars ahead of premolars in the mandibular arch, it could be due to lack of space available. Eruption of canines ahead of premolars in the maxillary arch, you can identify it by labially erupted canines, asymmetries in eruption between the right and left sides, late genesis of the mandibular second premolars. At times, what happens, like a decade ago, couple of articles being published, and they told that mandibular premolars, they may start very late development, like maybe they would be visible on the radiographs at the age of 8. So till age 8, we cannot say whether the second premolars are missing or they may appear. There could be chances of agenesis of upper lateral incisors and lower second premolars. Important points we need to remember. Time of start of the eruptive movement of tooth is when 1/3 root is formed. And time of emergence of the tooth in the oral cavity is when 3/4 of the root is formed. So over here, we are done with this X-ray, and you have to practice a lot looking at these radiographs in order to determine the age. You have to master your abilities in order to determine the age using the radiographs. Thank you very much.